What's shaking, bacon? In today's video, we're going to discuss the top 5 ways to succeed starting a carnivore diet. Now, this also applies, of course, to the lion diet, which is a more strict version of the carnivore diet. So a bit of an update on what I'm dealing with my weight loss. I haven't weighed myself since last week, and it's been a week solid, and I was down 11 pounds, 9 of it was lean mass. So I talked to my doctor this week about getting my thyroid tested. I'll probably get the blood work done this Saturday, and I'll get the results next week. Hopefully that's what the problem is. It's a pretty straightforward problem if that's the case, and let's see how that goes. The goal of this was to keep up my lean mass. So the goal of this was to keep up my lean mass as I was putting on weight. So I wanted to build my metabolism. And the third month, I dropped a bunch of weight for no reason at all that I can figure. I was still exercising. I was having 3 to 4 pounds of meat a day. It was pretty straightforward. So the first 2 months, I did a really good job, put on muscle, or I put on lean mass. I lost fat. And third month, everything just went pew. Couldn't figure that one out. Anyway, let's get into the top 5 things we can do to succeed on a carnivore diet. So the first thing I recommend is always be full. If you're hungry, there's a problem. You want to always be as full as you can comfortably. So if you're sticking with red meat, you're gonna be full more often. You're gonna stay full longer after you eat. That's an easy way to go. It's a pretty simple thing to do. Just be full. So eat till you're satisfied, maybe even a little full. You'll learn the difference between being full and being satiated. And being full is when you're sitting there and you're thinking, oh, I can't eat another bite. And you just wanna, you can't move and you just wanna take a nap. Being satiated is when you're eating and you just can't eat anymore and you're satisfied. You just don't want anymore. There's an easy way to tell the difference between the two. You just have to do it and you'll experience that. So stay full. Number 2, don't give yourself any treat days or treat snacks or treat meals. That's probably one of the biggest things you can do, because as soon as you do that, you're turning around all the success you built and getting rid of the sugar cravings from out of your body. So it's pretty straightforward. We don't want to convince yourselves that it's okay to have a treat, because it may not affect your weight loss too much if you just have one little treat or snack, but what's gonna happen is you're gonna reset that sugar craving, and you don't want that. So you don't wanna give yourself an excuse to have a lick, taste, or bite of anything you're not supposed to. Don't give yourself permission to do those things. It's straightforward. It doesn't work if you're doing it 98% of the way. I've mentioned this before. A friend of mine who I got turned on to the carnivore diet a few years ago, he was doing it for the first 5 months with coffee, which is fine. Lots of carnivores have coffee. He was still having a teaspoon of sugar in each coffee for the first 5 months. 3 coffees a day. So 3 coffees a day. And how did that go? He didn't notice any difference whatsoever. He was just doing it to support his wife. But once he cut the sugar out, that little bit of sugar, think about that. What is that? A little glass of orange juice you might get at a restaurant, 3 teaspoons of sugar spread out total throughout the day. 1 here, 1 there, 1 later on in the day. That's not very much sugar. But once he cut it out, within the first month, he lost 1 inch on his waist. He became more vascular. He put on muscle, and his sleep got better, his snoring went away. Fortunately, he was a pretty thin guy. He didn't have a lot of weight to lose. And that was once he finally cut out that last little bit. And that's just something he refused to give up for the first little while. The second month, everything got even better. He was getting by on dramatically less sleep a night. His waistline went down yet another inch. He had 6-pack abs. And we're talking about a guy who is 46, 47 years old at the time. Now he's 48. So he still looks great. He has no more sugar cravings. And it's been something that's just been beneficial for him. And that all happened once he cut out that last bit of sugar 100%. So if you go 3 weeks and you're doing really good and just have 1 treat, 1 piece of chocolate, whatever it is that's a fruit or something like that, you just reset the sugar cravings, and you're gonna make it more difficult on yourself. And we don't want that. A third thing you can do is bring food to work with you. Set yourself up for success. If you're going to work, make sure you have food in case you end up staying there longer. It's good to just keep some food in the fridge at work to help get you by. You might end up working through lunch, you might end up working late, and you always have food, and you can keep that there for a few days. So, you know, hopefully no one will mind if you just keep that in the fridge, and that can be your backup food. So having backup food's a really good idea. Some people get those Carnivore crisps, and that's like bags of meat that is dehydrated, and somehow it's got this texture of chips. Keep available snacks on hand. If you have to have processed sausage and what have you, that's not a bad way to go. That's something you can keep in a package for an emergency. The problem with that stuff is it often has sugar in it. So you have to watch it when you have that. That's one of those things you can, if you have to, you can treat yourself with, but sometimes you want to look for the ones that don't have sugar. But it's a better than nothing option. Number 4, always have a plan. You always want to have a plan. When you're going to work for the day, or you're going to a family's place for the day, or a friend's place, wherever it is you're going for a long drive, always make sure you have food prepared. We'll drive between 30 and 40 minutes to go to Five Guys. I'll have a tray with just patties. He'll have the burgers. And so that way I still feel like I get to go out and go to places I like. I end up putting some salt on those. If you're going to someone's place and you know you're kind of stuck having a meal at someone's place, don't count on them cooking something for you that's going to be to your specific standards, because they'll sneak a little bit of spices in it or sugar in it, and they don't realize sometimes in a pre-mix that there's sugar in that stuff, or they put a sauce on it. My dad would always do that. You know, he respected the fact I was having meat, but then he'd turn around and put a barbecue sauce on the meat, on the pork or something, and I was like, oh, you know, like barbecue sauce is almost always pure sugar, and his sauce is homemade, but it was full of sugars, right? So you want to watch that you're always prepared when you go out, that if you know you're going to be a while, eat before you leave. And just that way, if you get stuck going to someone's place, you can pass. Or if there's something and it's got a sauce on it, you don't want to be rude, you can have a very small bite, you know, kind of scrape some of that sauce off, or, just tap it a little bit to get the sauce off the meat. Then maybe you can have a little bit. You know, you don't want to be rude when you go to someone's house, and it's bad enough you're already mentioning that you're on a dietary restriction. But when it comes to something like trying this for the first month, you really want to be as successful as possible. And it doesn't help when you're cutting corners. You're making it more difficult on yourself. You don't want to give yourself an opportunity to treat or cheat because you went too long without a meal and now you're hungry. You stay full on what you're allowed to eat, you're not going to have nearly as many cravings. Remember that. And now we're at the 5th point. What we want to do is make sure that we have a good support network. If you have a family, don't let your family sabotage you. Don't let your husband or wife or the kids kind of guilt you into having this food. It's going to be difficult enough cooking multiple meals, something for yourself and something for them. And it's going to be difficult to not give in to some of that food, especially if you're the one cooking it or preparing it, or it's sitting right in front of you and it smells so good or it tastes so good. But once again, if you're already full on what you're allowed to eat, you're really just topping it up. So even though you're having dinner, you're just topping up, getting back to being full again, right? It's a really good way to go. Don't let yourself be hungry. Don't wait till you're hungry to eat. Keep yourself full. That's a really big thing. So that way when you're having dinner with the family, make sure your spouse is behind you 100% with this, and they can help keep you accountable for that first month. After a few weeks, it's not too bad, but it's in the first few months that you're going to be more prone to cheating. After a while, you're sort of bulletproof and you just don't even crave that sugar or carbs or any of those foods you're not allowed to eat, or those drinks. Cut out diet sodas, cut out pop, cut out anything with an artificial sweetener. So even if it's zero carb, it's keeping the sugar cravings alive. We want to try and get rid of those things. That brings us to our 6th point, a bonus point. Cut out artificial sweeteners. They don't help you out at all. They hinder you. You're thinking to yourself, look, I want to ease into this. I can't make it too difficult on myself. The cravings will be too extreme. You know what? You're making it worse by far, because those artificial sweeteners aren't giving you any calories, but they are making it difficult for you to quit the sugar cravings. It's just keeping it alive in you. You might go the whole month without sugar, but you're going to be craving artificial sweeteners all the time. It's not a better choice. It's like the difference between multigrain and white bread, or whole wheat bread and white bread. It's still carbs. You know, would you rather jump off a 20-foot cliff or a 19.5-foot cliff? There's not much of a difference. One has a little bit more fiber in it, right? But the reality is neither are really good for you, especially if you already have an issue with carbohydrates and inflammation of one kind or another, or some sort of illness like diabetes. You know, don't have any of it. It's a tougher road in the beginning, and it's really only the first week or two that's going to be really difficult. After a while, you're going to be able to manage it. Why stretch that out for months? You know, you do 1 month where you cut out all the carbohydrates and the sugars, but you still keep the artificial sweeteners, and you feel like you gave yourself an easier month, but you actually gave yourself a more difficult month because those cravings were alive and well all month long. And then next month, now you're going to say to yourself, month 2, 3, or 4, I'm going to cut out the artificial sweeteners now. And now you just made another hill. You just dragged this transition out. So we want to cut that. We want to make this as easy as possible. Believe me, cold turkey is the way to go. Always be full. Always have food prepared in the refrigerator that you can snack on. Something easy like a burgers, where you can just grab it and take it out. Don't give yourself treat meals or snacks. It doesn't work like that. You're just resetting your sugar cravings. Always have a plan for when you're out or when you're at work. Bring food to work with you. If you're somewhere for 6 or 8 hours a day, bring food with you. Always keep some there. So that way, if you forget it one day, you're already set. There's some there, then you're taken care of. Always have a plan. Plan for the things you didn't expect to come up. You forgot your food at home. You ended up working late. You ended up working through your break. Have something that's easily accessible that you can grab and snack on to get you by until you can eat again. And if you're always full, this is less of an issue, especially if, like I said before, if you're sticking with more red meat in your diet. Number 5, have a support team with you. You know, your spouse typically is a good one to go. Have the kids help you be accountable for the first few weeks, or maybe even a couple months. Within a while, you won't even need them, but they're going to be there to help you in the beginning. You can try having support groups on social media, for example. You can go to like strict zero carb Facebook groups as an example. And then number 6, the bonus one, cut out the sweeteners. Go all in with it. Trust me, it's not worth it. Get rid of the sweeteners. All right. So let's see how this works. I think you'll really enjoy this first month you try doing it. One common side effect people have of doing carnivore, and we'll get into this in a future video, is diarrhea for the first little while. And you can find ways to manage that. Sometimes people will keep cheese in their diet to help offset the fact that they're dealing with diarrhea the first 2 or 3 weeks. So, you know, that can help, but we'll get into that more in another video. So I hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for following up with my challenge, and I hope things keep going well for you guys if you're doing this, and reach out if you have any questions. You know, I'm there to offer support. My success story is going pretty well now. I'm down quite a bit. I'm at that point where everyone's pointing it out to me now, right? Because I've lost quite a bit of weight, and people are saying it when they see me. There were a lot of times where the odd person would say it, but now just everyone's starting to say it. They're noticing it that much more. If you like this video, subscribe, and I'd appreciate it. Give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment. It helps the channel. It helps it build and helps YouTube to pick up on the algorithm. Take care of yourself.